All right, here we go. Look at all these people here. Okay, I'm really excited. Hey, everybody. We are live.
Yay.
And yeah, welcome back to the Black Carnivore YouTube channel. We are a community of folk who are interested in a whole foods, meat-based diet. Oh, my goodness.
It's a little bit of
Always
feedback.
always a little bit of tech challenge. We're getting it together. I'm
That's what
learning a lot of different
happens
stuff. Yeah, that
when
is what
it's live.
happens. That,
That's
I know, right? That is the joy of live. You just never know what's going to happen.
that's the entertainment factor.
Yeah, yeah. I could be calling your name next. Uh, I know these are throwback. Just a lot of throwback times. We
It's all
just
right. That's the
we
way I
talked.
see it.
We
We
talked about
earned
Laverne and
it.
Shirley last time. Now it's Romper Room.
We
So
earned it, A-Day.
yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Anyway, we are here. We talk about a whole foods meat-based diet and all the lifestyle and everything that goes with it. So I am here tonight with Deborah, the pandemic carnivore, and we are going to have a fun time talking about various kinds of keto-friendly snacks, processed foods, various things that we use to help us in our journey. So before we dive in and get started, I want to say thank you for being here. Please hit the like button and hit subscribe and the little bell icon so you can get notification every time I put up a new video. The more you engage and chat and like and all of that stuff, the more you elevate our channel and help us to reach more people. So thank you. I love it. Please hit the like buttons. There's a bunch of you here, so go ahead. And let me call out, some of the chats that are already in here.
Let's hear it.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got Esther and Seabliss and Bianca and Angel Life.
Mm.
Yes,
Mm.
a lot of the regulars and
Mm-hmm.
Arian. And Renee and so many people. Miss Tay D, awesome.
Yes.
Delisa, yes, yes. And let's see, Jocelyn and Black Passport Fit,
Yes.
awesome. Virginia, wow, a lot of you in here, awesome.
You need the
Uh,
mirror, A-Day. You need the
oh,
mirror. You need to be
well, that's
holding
what
it
the little
up.
square is. We are the mirror.
Oh, right.
We
Okay.
are
We
the
are in
mirror.
these little squares. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can make them circles next time,
I
but
better hold my position in my square.
no, you're perfect as you are.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know if any of you got a chance to, hey, Invincible VS, great to see you. Jimmy Zero Carbs,
Mhm.
awesome, from Chicago, nice. My brother lives in Chicago. Hey, Plum, it's you, awesome. So, so we wanted to talk today about keto-friendly, sort of keto-friendly snacks and stuff like that. I think that, well, when I first started doing keto, like there were none of these things. So you decided to do keto, you ate meat, you ate cheese, you ate some vegetables, and that was kind of it. And then slowly I started to see various products on the shelf. And one time I saw it was a keto Bisquick. And I was like, oh, I love Bisquick. Like, what's this? That's awesome. And I look at it.
Good times.
Yeah, right? So I look at it and it was like, 20 gazillion carbs. And the other one was 20 gazillion carbs minus one. And I was like, okay.
It was
So,
gotta be keto.
hmm so, it was that at that moment that I realized, oh, these words don't really mean anything. there's,
Mm,
there's nothing behind
no.
them.
Mm,
So, yeah. So, so these kind of products can be, some of them can be a helpful, sort of crutch, or they can be a useful tool, and others of them can just lead you way off the path. And so it's important to kind of think about, how you want to approach them and what you want to do, because, we want to be successful. Our goal here is, well, as we talked about on Tuesday, is not to follow a dogma. There's not a set of rules. Our goal is to achieve health, our optimal health for us. And, we have some ideas about things that help you there, but there's also a lot of personal testing you got to do. But there are some tools that have a problem. So what are your thoughts, Deb?
Well, A-Day, it's okay. Deb is fine. Deborah, either one. A-Day, the thing about coming onto the Black Carnivore and having these little chit chats with you is that I have to actually go back in the recesses of my mind, and I have to remember what it was like, because quite honestly, that is a part where I kind of fail sometimes. I kind of fail to remember what it was like getting on board, all of that kind of thing. So just like you, when I started keto, there were no ketogenic products at all. Mm-hmm. But I started in a place of paleo. And one of the main rules of paleo is that you don't eat processed food. And before paleo, I was doing research and learning more about sugar, processed food, what that meant, how they were manufactured, about these manufacturing companies. So I already had thoughts in my mind about processed food. Now coming into keto, I started keto, and that too is when I started to see keto-friendly products. So they're called keto-friendly. And I didn't pay much attention to them because I was paleo. I had already stopped processed foods. I already knew the connection that these keto products had to processing, manufacturing food, mega corporations, right? So I wasn't quite swayed by it. I think more than anything, I was appalled. Mm-hmm. I was appalled, A-Day. But here's the thing about it, is more labeling, right? More labeling, lazy keto, dirty keto, whatever. The point is, you can eat anything and be ketogenic. I mean, you can get those numbers that you're looking for to be in ketosis, but I don't know how sustainable that is, and I just don't know how good that is for your body. Mm-hmm. Right? Because these processed, if there's a food on a shelf with a label with a whole bunch of ingredients that I can't pronounce from a corporation like Quakers or Unilever, where it had to start in a lab where someone was over their beaker trying to figure out how to manipulate my taste buds and my level of satisfaction. And then there were a lot of different hands in the pie to get this product to me. Like when I think about, well, I can't even pronounce these different moxaglox or whatever came from wherever, and this red colored dye came from this place, and this all came together, and then it came to me and can sit on my shelf for months.
Yeah.
I don't know, AJ.
Well, I'm laughing because Steve Willis put a really funny comment in. Sounding really old. Back in my day, we didn't have any keto snacks. Shaking a fist at the establishment.
Those darn kids.
Yeah. But I think you raise a really good point, which is that, weight loss is, it's important, but it is not the best measure of health. And that you can lose weight in a variety of different ways, some of which are healthy and some of which actually worsen your health. And so I think it's really important to think about that. And I know a lot of people kind of come to me and they're like, oh, I want to lose weight and I can't lose weight. Is carnivore going to help? And I'm kind of like, if you really want to lose weight fast, it might not be the best, but if you want to get healthy and lose it long and permanently, then it is the best. And, I don't always want to, kind of maybe disappoint people, but I'm just kind of like, at a certain point, like, you've got to deal with what's going on in your body, and you have to deal with the healing of it, because every time you lose weight badly, you make it harder the next time. And so I see these people who in their 20s or in high school, maybe, skip dinner for a week and drop the weight. And then in their 20s, they went to the gym for, an hour a couple times a week, and they dropped the weight. And then in their 30s, they decide, okay, I'm going to the gym every day, and I'm going to go for an hour, and I'm going to have these salads. And, they drop a little bit of weight, and then nothing happens. And then they, keep restricting, and adding more and more exercise, and nothing happens. Or they start to gain weight, or, hair falls out, or all of these other problems start happening. So it's kind of like, I know we want to lose it fast and we want to look good, and maybe there's a wedding or whatever, but, the overall harm that it does into the future is significant, and we really have to be thoughtful about that. So
I have disappointed a lot of people, A-Day.
Yeah.
Who have come to me and said, well, I want to lose weight. What is it that you're doing? And I say, first, we got to think about your health. First, you got to get healthy. You got to fix your body. There's a reason why you feel the way you feel. There's a reason why you're the size that you are. We got to fix that first. Yeah, but I got to lose the weight.
Yeah.
And, and I mean, the other thing that I want to mention as well is I do get concerned about keto food products, because I'm afraid that people will look at this product and think that if I purchase it, I will be in ketosis. Like, I mean, it's a very good possibility that people are actually thinking this will put me into ketosis and not have a real understanding of what that actually means or what it means to be fat adapted. Make sure you go and check out A-Day's previous videos about ketosis.
A lot of people don't know what ketosis is, and they think that eating keto is being in ketosis. So I've, had to sort of reframe my thinking and understand where people are coming from, because I think, a lot of people don't understand that we're talking about running on a different fuel, and, that's big too. So we are working on some educational materials so that we have this stuff available. But it's there's some serious education that sometimes needs to happen. Okay, there's a ton of people in here. Please hit the like button if you are enjoying this content, because we need to elevate it so that more people can see it and be aware of
and we like questions.
Conversations. Yeah, I
like questions.
Yeah. Oh, Virginia, awesome. 10 people need to hit that like button. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So, actually, I wanted to pull up that thumbnail for a second.
Let's look at it.
I believe that I can do this.
Is it gonna be? It's gonna be like this. It's gonna cut me off halfway.
No.
In the box.
No. It's gonna cut both of us off. But
oh, okay. All right. That's okay.
I don't know if you're able to see it. So the image I took here was of a keto box, and some of these things in it are theoretically keto friendly, and some are less so. So I don't know if you can see here. We've got some pork rinds. Okay. We have some pumpkin seeds. Not so good. We've got a beef bar, perhaps. And so I think I see another kind of pepperoni stick or something like that. Yes, there you go. And I see some kind of protein bar. So, what do you think of this? Because it's not, it's not a Snickers bar, but...
Well, I mean, if we really want to get nitpicky about it, everything we eat is processed, unless you're eating it raw. Right? So I mean, we could get that nitpicky about it, that being a raw carnivore is the ultimate way to do it. That is strict carnivore is eating raw meat. And you might want to throw on us.
We do that in America too. Just, get strict. Like,
we
never want to be in the middle. We always want to be on the extreme.
Or that's our goal.
Right.
Quite frankly, it's not my goal to eat raw meat and to use a salt block lick. Okay, that's not my thing. But everything that we eat is processed to some extent, right? So we've got to think about how many steps through the process did it go, and how is this food serving us? So I'm just thinking back to your thing there. Did you say meat bars?
They were, yes, they were bar shaped and had meat on the words on the front. I don't know what that means, because when you look at the ingredients, didn't we discuss a bar earlier that said meat bar, and then there were cranberries and walnuts,
Yes,
and honey
yeah,
and stuff like that? Yeah,
the Elite Bar or something. I can't remember what it was called,
I think
but
it was an Epic bar.
that's it, not Elite,
Yeah,
Epic.
yeah.
Now, gosh, I don't want to sound like a cynic. I don't want to sound like that, but I can't help myself. There's a little part of me that's like, come on now. If we put cranberries in a meat bar, put cranberries in the meat bar, cranberries are sweet. What's going to keep bringing us back to the meat bar? The cranberries, right? I could easily make my own meat bar. Number two, if I am carnivore and I'm eating meat and fat and feeling satiated, am I really going to need snacks? Probably not, right? So snacks were invented to keep our insulin levels spiking up. So when we come down, we need another snack. We need more to eat. But if you don't have that anymore, why do you need a meat bar? Well, Deborah, I've got to travel. I've got to go on a major trip. Got to stay overnight in a hotel, and I got to get myself some meat bars with some cranberries in them. Okay, but do ya? Do you really? So I don't know. I feel like you got to follow the money. You know? You got to...
Well, I remember reading about in the, I guess in the 1700s, when we were doing, you had a lot of Europeans coming to the Americas doing a lot of trapping, and there was, a lot of trade with the indigenous population to get pemmican. I remember reading that the indigenous would say, they make pemmican, but they don't put berries and stuff like that in it. But the Europeans would request it. So they had a whole other set of pemmican they would make just for them, even though they knew and would say, hey, this is going to make the pemmican not last as long. And, the berries are not going to work. But,
gee,
yeah. So it's
makes
like,
you think.
Interesting. Yeah. So that sugar addiction was strong even back then. Yeah.
It's just, I want people to think about what it is in that processed food that's going to keep me coming back. And for a second, I want to bring up bacon, because bacon has sugar in it, right? I actually don't eat as much bacon as I used to. I'm no longer drawn to it. And it's not something that I consciously am cutting out, like I've got to quit eating bacon. But it's just a natural progression that I don't eat bacon like I used to. But bacon does have sugar in it, and that's a part of the curing process. But I don't recall ever being like, I gotta get me some bacon. I gotta get me some bacon. Like, there wasn't enough sugar in the bacon to mess up my hormonal signals, like to mess up those signals in my body that keep me in homeostasis. Homeostasis? That keep me balanced, right? So there wasn't enough sugar to do that. But I can imagine in any, should I use the word highly processed, or should I just keep with processed? Highly processed? It doesn't.
Well, we're going to come back. We're going to have to come back and define those terms. But yeah.
Sometimes I get very scientific about stuff. Yeah. But, in that process, we just have to think about what is in there that's pulling me back in. What's pulling me back in?
Yeah.
It's probably those blueberries and cranberries.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Seabliss, who is like a spectacular cook and makes all of these wild and adventurous things.
Hi, Seabliss.
Of course, she makes pemmican. So that's awesome. And I hope that she's got pictures to share, and, and we'll have to see those at some other point. But I see there's a lot of questions in the chat about what is pemmican.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, you know what? I may be alone. I may be alone in this. I'm going to pretend like I know what it is. What is it?
So, Oh, you don't know. Okay. So pemmican, I mean, every population has, before refrigerators, had to figure out how to make meat last. So pemmican is one way of preparing meat that lasts. So I think that it is, from the Americas, it is beef or, bison or whatever that has been dried in some form and then pounded into a powder, and then an equal part of liquid fat or hot fat is poured on top of it, so that it sort of seals everything and it keeps it from going bad. And so theoretically, if it's done properly, the meat can last 5 years or even longer. And
That's the key, done properly.
Well, they put it in like vegetable skins, and and it has to be like closed in the correct way. But yeah, and I think that there's also potted meat, which is a similar thing, where you take some kind of lean meat and you put it in a like a glass jar, and you pour the hot fat on it, and it fills all the spaces and it solidifies on top of it and it preserves it.
I'm so terrible. You know what I'm thinking of? Spam. It sounds a lot like Spam to me.
Spam is canned, which is a different process than potted meat. But like, it's sort of interesting. Like, there are people whose hobbies are to go back to old cookbooks, and so when you look at cookbooks from like the 1700s and before, there's all of these like amazing ways that they cook and prepare food, because you've got to figure out how to make this stuff last. If you don't have a refrigerator, and or if you were a trapper traveling across, the Americas, like, there's no McDonald's, like, you have to carry your food or kill it, and that's it. So there's a lot of really interesting ways that stuff is made and preserved, but for the most part, it's dried, air dried or maybe cooked, or it's, sealed in fat so that there's no air coming in, or they create it's cured to make like hams, or they make sausage. I mean,
now that's processed food.
Yeah,
that's processed food.
That's right. So processed is not, it's not necessarily terrible, and people have been eating sausage for thousands of years. People have been eating these ways of preparing meat for thousands of years. And if you go and look at like Julia Childs' cookbook, like, like these are classic ways that people made food. So, not terrible.
And in some African nations as well, they spice the meat quite a bit and then bury it under the earth, because it's a little cooler down there, and that's another way to preserve meats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, so those are great things to do. And bacon is, it's cured and or smoked. So that's a traditional way of handling ham. So, I don't think we should necessarily think of bacon as bad. And I know a lot of people are concerned about the sugar, but the sugar is actually part of the process. Like, it can't happen without the sugar, because the sugar is what's feeding the bacteria, which is part of the preserving process. So if you don't have the sugar, the bacteria doesn't eat, and it doesn't do what it needs to do.
And it's so minimal. It really is minimal. I'm not telling people to eat bacon or anything. Well, I'm not telling you to get honey bacon or the maple bacon or the... Not telling you to do that.
Exactly.
Or the blueberry bacon.
Flavor is not, that's the one.
That's not what we're talking about. But yeah, I'm not telling you to eat bacon, but bacon isn't quite as bad as people may think it is in terms of the sugar.
Yeah.
In terms of anything, what am I talking about? Even the nitrates. Nitrates, I
don't understand what the whole big deal about nitrates is. It's like,
and
I don't know.
If you're carnivore as well,
juice and putting celery juice in instead is like a natural form of nitrates. That's not better.
Celery.
Yeah, it's not better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also feel like the nitrates, if you are on a very, I don't want to use the word clean, if you are on a whole food meat-based diet, then nitrates are not going to be a problem for you.
That's right.
As if you were on a SAD diet, or if you were eating highly processed foods.
Yeah.
That say keto on them.
Yeah.
Keto-friendly. I mention to you that, and I haven't seen it lately, but that was when the world changed. So before the world changed, we we at Pizza here in Canada had a keto-friendly pizza. I don't know
Oh
what's
yeah.
happened since,
Mm-hmm.
but what anything I guess really is keto-friendly.
Yeah.
I could have a whole pizza, a whole any kind of pizza. That's the only thing I eat, and I could be producing ketones
Yeah.
and be in ketosis.
Well, if you can have keto-friendly Bisquick, all things are possible. I don't know.
And what are the regulations on that too? Is there supposed to be like a minimum number of
Nothing.
carbs that have been regulated by the Canadian government? No,
No.
no,
Nothing.
nothing.
Nothing. So Aaron says he's got pics of liver smoothies. Okay. But Arian goes in for bacon once or twice a week. Yes. Yeah. And yeah, I think a lot of people didn't know what pemmican was. So
I don't know what that was.
Aaron says the liver smoothie is good as long as you smooth out the chunks. That should
Oh,
help
that's
settle the stomach, right?
what was I thinking? I didn't even occur to me. Smooth out the chunks. I'll remember for next time, Aaron. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
pemmican, I have to say pemmican, it sounds like, don't write me, cooked penguin. That's what the first thing I thought about when I heard pemmican was like cooked
Oh my
penguin.
God, I'm thinking of what is it, March of the Penguins and Morgan Freeman. Now I'm thinking about you cooking them. Oh, that's terrible.
Well, I imagine they might be they might be tasty. I don't know.
No, not the cute penguins. Oh my God. Oh, Virginia says the word pemmican comes from the Cree word pimmican, which itself is derived from the word pimi, which means fat grease.
Oh, I thought she was going to say
Yeah.
which means penguin.
Oh God.
Thank you, Virginia. Virginia, you're so smart.
Yeah. Aaron says pemmican is meat granola. Yeah, kinda.
Mm, mm.
um, and so let's see. And Evelyn had beef shanks and oxtails after listening to one of my videos for the first time in 70 years that she's been on the planet. Oh my God, Evelyn, you have not been having oxtails. You
Wow.
have been missing out. It's
Yes.
so good.
I haven't
So
had them in a while, though,
yeah, I know.
admittedly.
Yeah. So that is so awesome, Evelyn. I'm really glad to hear it. And oh yeah, you should just be eating them all the time now, making up for lost time.
Oxtails are good. They're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and Evelyn says, I love bacon and I had it weekly, but I used to have it every day. So maybe there's a gradual cutting back process. I don't know if you need to cut back.
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I just get bored of it and I don't have it. And then
Hmm.
I do have it more. So, it kind of is what it is.
I have
Um,
to say that in our minds, we often think about, cutting back on things. I don't know. It's just something that I think coming from SAD or counting
mhm.
calories, there's always this thing that we have. I need to restrict myself. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
having too much of that. I need to restrict myself. If it's
Right.
not within any of the calories, if it's not within any of the guidelines, I use the word
Hmm.
guidelines, not rules, not dogma, guidelines, and you don't feel well, if there's something that you is happening that you don't
Hmm.
like, then maybe you should look at it. But if you're fine, you feel good, things are going the way you want them to, eat the bacon.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Now, Invincible VS says I was thinking of making pemmican just to be ready for the next wave of, you know what we're talking about when they start talking about stores running out. So, yeah,
The next new world.
yeah, I'm always a fan of getting ready, the zombie apocalypse. Get
You
ready.
know, I think what I could do is set up a stand outside rather than masks. I'm going to sell pemmican. Get your pemmican here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, God. No, no. So let's see. I see Plum says pork belly without the nitrates is like, I roasted in my video. Yeah, if you can get pork belly without the nitrates. Not sure how though. Let's see. And C Bliss will be eating well and totally sustained. And at Virginia, we'll be all hungry and probably asking if we'll be able to spare a block of pumpkin for her.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, Virginia.
Yeah. So, and then C Bliss asks how we get there to cooking Happy Feet. I'm not sure what that means, but I am
Happy
very
Feet the
curious.
penguin. How do we cook the penguin? We don't have to get into that though. I don't know. I never really thought that far ahead.
The poor
I didn't think that far. I just thought about penguins and pemmican. I don't know.
And now Virginia's thinking of pelicans.
Right, Virginia? Both birds, different kinds.
And Aaron thinks the penguin sounds rockin'.
Yeah. What the heck? Why not? And then you can just put like a red bow tie over the whole penguin loaf.
All right, let's get off the penguins, pelicans. Everybody, hit the like button so we can, do better with the algorithms. Jimmy says I keep it simple in my weight loss. I usually eat steaks and burger patties at 73 to 27% fat. Awesome if you can find it. I can never find it. The question is, I spread melted butter over patties. You think that's too much fat? Thanks and love you, ladies. Awesome. For me, no. For Deb,
it's too much fat. For me, that's too much fat. I can't handle that kind of fat. So I actually had bison meatballs the other night. And it was very good, but the bison is very lean. So I was having strip loin, bison, then I kind of moved up into ribeyes again, but I had to pull myself back a little day because I can't do with all that fat.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on who you are, whether or not it's too much, but you'll know if it's too much fat. Trust me.
Yeah. I've been, really pushing it, trying to see exactly how much fat I can handle. It's actually pretty impressive.
I have to give you props. I wish that were me. Yeah.
So I don't know if you watched my last video, maybe it was yesterday, of what I ate in a day, and I showed a picture of the fat that was left over in the bowl after the meatballs. I ate it. I drank it.
Can't do it. There is no way I would not be leaving my home. You know what's funny is when I first started keto and I was trying to eat 200 grams of fat a day. At first, everything was great. I was like, oh, no problem with this. And I'd say it took about a week and a half, and my body rebelled big time. So in the beginning, I was like, I can do this keto thing. There's no problem with this. I can eat all that. No. So it depends on who you are.
Yeah, everybody's body's a little bit different, but I know for me, I have always liked a lot of fat, so when I made tuna, I was like putting half the mayo jar in. So I know that I just have more of a craving for fat, and now in retrospect, I understand it.
Adi, I've got to clarify something.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't like fat. I can't eat fat. So I love fat. If I could eat fat, I would eat it all day long. I love it. It's just like people say to me, oh yeah, but Deborah, you don't like ice cream. No.
Ice cream doesn't like me.
Exactly. It's not that I don't like ice cream. Ice cream got me over 200 pounds. Yeah. I love ice cream, but ice cream and I can't live together. Yeah. Ice cream cannot be a part of my life. Same thing with the fat. Yeah. I love fat. So it's not that I don't like it. I just, at least for now, who knows, maybe later on as the years go on, maybe my body, I'll be able to adapt, but I don't think I have those enzymes to actually process the fat. I think all of that low fat garbage that we went through the knots really took away my fat enzyme breaking down abilities.
Well, me and fat are having a great relationship.
Don't have to rub it in.
Good times. Sorry. But
We get together once in a while, but I got to keep it short.
Okay, a few more questions here. Alejandra says thoughts on diet and average height in populations. While in college, my biological instructor mentioned that height is determined by one's geographic area due to elevation. I don't know. I was taught that it was about calories, and populations that didn't have as much food just didn't grow as tall. But as soon as the next generation had greater access to calories, they grew taller.
I personally, I don't know because I was a fashion major.
I was an anthropology major, so
yeah,
that was the kind of thing that I did.
If you want to talk about clothes throughout the centuries,
yeah,
now we got something going on.
There we go. But I do think it's interesting, well, the tallest man in the world, I think, is Korean. And I think the tallest woman is, I want to say she's from Jamaica. And so, I don't know. Like,
I don't think there's, I mean, like, as I said, I know more about, Versace than I do this subject. But I do have to say, I don't see the relevance between the two. I mean,
all of us are as tall as we're going to be, so there's no further discussion for any of us.
I get the feeling it's about nutrients. I get the feeling it's about nutrient-dense foods.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Oh, more penguins.
That whole fashion thing, I've got to tell you, no, I don't want to, make myself sound like I don't know. I do. It's okay. I'm well read. Don't worry. I know more than just Versace.
Well, honestly, but looking at your channel, like you put together a good outfit, a nice looking outfit.
That's Miss D in apartment 3 on Instagram. Miss D in apartment 3. Come and check out my looks, my fashions.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm impressed with the outfits you put together. On the other hand, in our current situation, have just abandoned clothing altogether.
Hey, do you see what I'm wearing? I've got on like this a hockey t-shirt. I'm in Canada, so I got a hockey t-shirt. Okay, but I got on my hockey t-shirt. You look fabulous.
Yeah, from here up.
Oh, Ada, you always look good. Ada always looks amazing.
Yeah. I don't know when the last time I switched jeans.
I can't wait for us to go shopping.
Yeah. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Things are so different now. Yeah. So,
well, for you guys anyway.
That's true. You're not even going to let us in your country. So, yeah, I'm just going to, we're going to have to do it virtually.
Yeah.
Although, so when I was losing weight, usually like people like have this whole plan. I'm going to lose this number of pounds and then I'm going to go to a whole new wardrobe. So I never did that. Like when I kind of hit my goal, like a whole bunch of things changed in my life and I never, I just never did that. And then, I don't know, well, a lot of you probably don't know this, but I ran for city council in my neighborhood. And so at that point, like, I kind of did need to, like, get new clothes. I was still sort of wearing some of the things that, I had worn, sort of through the weight loss. And so a friend of mine had a friend who works as a, I don't know what the word is. He helps people buy new clothes and, like,
a buyer.
Looks together.
Yeah, a buyer.
I guess so, yeah. Right. But like a high-end one. So it's someone I would never...
A personal shopper.
Afford. Well, but puts together the outfits and everything.
Stylist.
That's the word I'm looking for. He was a stylist.
I'm the fashion major. Took me 3 tries.
I would not... I wouldn't have gotten it at all. But anyway, so he took me out, and it was like... Wow, like things that he was picking out, I never would have picked out, never would have thought of. And then, he put together a look and, and I had given him my ideas about what I wanted in the look and like, he got it. And it's like, oh, like, yeah. Wow.
I'm trained to do that too.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like, so yeah, I'm actually going to take advantage of your services. If you do have the means, absolutely get yourself a stylist. It is, just so worth it.
Because they see the way you see yourself, and then they see you differently, and they put it together.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. So as you follow this way of eating, you get your look together, you get your body together. Eventually, you get yourself.
8A, can I tell you a story that happened to
Yes.
me
Yeah.
yesterday? So I was walking my little dog Bijou. Anybody who's tunes into my IG, they'll know about Bijou. She's a little Chihuahua, but anyway, that's beside the point. So I was walking my little dog Bijou, and each morning I walk past this woman's house that's across the street, and good morning, good morning. Well, this day in particular, she decided to cross the street and come and talk to me. So we're having a conversation, and she was saying hi to Bijou. Oh, Bijou's so cute, and she gave me some peppers. And as she was turning and walking
Oh, the
away,
peppers that you took
the
pictures of.
peppers, yes, that I took pictures. And as she was turning and walking away, she looked back and she said, "I always thought you were a teenager." I was like, "You and I are going to be friends from here on in." I mean, I could look at it one of two ways. I could look at it as, wow, thank you. She thought my physical form was that of a teenager, a 19-year-old. Or I could be like, wait a minute, you got up close and now you realize that I'm all haggard. I don't know which way I want to go. I think I should go the first way. Right? She got up close and she was like, oh,
Yes, I think you
you're
should
not a
go the first
teenager.
way.
You're definitely not a teenager. No, I'll go the first way. I'll go the first way. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've gotten all off track. Now, to get back to processed
Yeah,
versus
8A.
unprocessed.
Get back on track now.
Yeah. So we've talked about natural I don't want to use the distinction between natural and unnatural. All things are natural. They're made, whether they're man-made or not. We're part of the natural world. But the typical processing that we have seen for Virginia says, I would say, I love you. I think she's talking to you, Deb.
I did. I was like, you can move in. I was thinking.
Yeah. So, the processing that we're talking about with food is, there's some level of processing. I mean, even beef when it's slaughtered is still hung. It's aged a bit. I mean, various things happen. A lot of us eat ground beef. The grinding process it's a form of processing. So it's not that processing is necessarily terrible. It's just another step. And so you have to ask, how far along, that route are you going to go in terms of the processing? And it's also, I think, important to think about the processing for all of the things that we eat. I think a lot of us think of oil as, a natural food, but it is also very, very processed. The work it takes to extract oil out of a corn kernel or a grape seed or, all the
chemicals.
Yeah.
Chemicals. They use chemicals to process those oils.
Mm-hmm. So I suppose if you're getting some of the olive oil from, the ladies in Italy who are mashing it with their feet, you got
She's
some
talking
good...
about grapes. She's talking about grapes, but she actually means
they
grease and olives.
How do they express the oil out of olives?
I don't know.
I thought it was some kind of mashing
You're
process.
probably right.
Well, no, there's a press, right? So olive oil is cold pressed, so there's got to be some kind of press, which is a mechanical process. But there's so much adulteration that goes on with oils that it's. I have a real hard time trusting that whatever I'm buying, unless I saw it happening, is fully olive oil. There is that. And in fact, in the early 20s, or right before Crisco came out, I think, they had found, I guess the United States, whoever, puts the numbers together, like they estimate how much, how much lard we are producing versus how much is being purchased. And I think that there was such a difference between how much we could be producing and how much was being purchased, that it was clear that about a third of all of the lard was adulterated with something else that was not lard. And so at that point, some regulations were put into place, making requirements about how much was what was, what was in the various foods that we're eating, and some labeling laws and stuff. But, that's an indication. I mean, this is even happening, 100 years ago. So it's not that the fake food thing is not like a new a new instance, but it's become so bad in our generation that it is really harming us. So in any event, I think that fats is one of the places where we have to be most careful. And and we think of ourselves as carnivores or meat focused people, but really we are as they say, lipivores. I remember Amber O'Hearn did a talk where she called us that. 80%, I mean, if you're following a keto diet, about 80% of your daily calories are coming from fat. So fat
except for me.
I mean, even for you, let's say 65%, 70%, that's still a lot of your daily calories coming from fat versus when we're told eat 10% fat. So if you're eating that much, it matters what fat you're eating, and it is going to make a difference if it is like not food, or really poor quality.
And can I just go back to olive oil for a second? Mm-hmm. Because olive oil was not actually created for ingestion. It was created for our hair, for our skin, to moisturize it. So a lot of these oils that we are now ingesting because somebody told us it was good for us because it was monounsaturated was actually meant for the external body, not the internal body. So if we're not eating monounsaturated oils, then what are we eating? We're eating saturated fats, animal fats.
Yeah. I think that is a great point. We as humans have been using oil for all kinds of purposes for a long time. Oil lamps. I mean, that was like the biggest use of oil for centuries. And, and that was why actually we did all that hunting of whales for the fat. So, it matters a lot. Okay, so let's see. Plum and Evelyn both have histamine problems. Yeah, that there is that can be an issue. And Renee can't eat a lot of fat either because she has no gallbladder. Yeah. And
I mean, one of the reasons why ultimately some people have to have their gallbladder removed is because we didn't eat enough fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The irony of it is so traumatic.
Now, Evelyn says my cholesterol numbers have skyrocketed since keto and carnivore. Total cholesterol is up to about 534 right now, but my HDL and triglycerides are good. So, Evelyn, I would ask, are you currently losing weight or are you weight stable? Because I asked that because that is actually pretty common while you're losing weight for your cholesterol numbers to get pretty wonky. So you're supposed to wait until you're weight stable for like a month before you start measuring your cholesterol.
I'm also curious to know how long Evelyn's been, if it's keto or carnivore, and how long she's been doing it for.
Yeah. So, and pork, I'm seeing people having some issues with pork. And Virginia had her gallbladder removed too, but she has no problem with fat. That's good.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm. That's very good.
Yeah. I think you have to work up to it, if anything. But, there are plenty of people with no gallbladder that just do just fine on keto. I think I have a little bit of a problem with pork. So I can't eat, hey Mia, great to see you. I can't eat a lot of bacon or pork rinds, and I'll get a reaction. I definitely get inflamed and all of that kind of stuff. So I limit, I eat bacon from time to time, knowing, what I'm going, what's going to happen. Except
just like me with the fat.
Right. I accept the consequences of my action from time to time, and I have bacon.
I understand.
Yeah.
I totally
Yep.
get it. I mean, the only pork that I eat is bacon, I think. I
Hmm.
and pork rinds on occasion. I think that's it. I don't
Hmm.
I, I don't eat pork chops or
Yeah.
I don't even know how to make a pork chop. I don't think I want to eat a pork chop.
Yeah.
Just give me the bacon.
Well, I always feel like pork is always dry and hard, and I don't want to eat
Yeah.
it. But then
Yeah.
I bought some ground pork this week, and I've been mixing it up with ground beef to make meatballs. And oh my God, it's so good.
Ade, can I
So,
ask you a question?
uh huh.
Didn't you just tell us that you can't eat pork?
Yeah. And then I ate it. It was good. But I've definitely noticed a greater reaction this week.
Hmm.
So I'm accepting the consequences.
Okay.
Yeah.
You thought you'd try
Um,
to you thought you'd dilute it out with the beef.
yeah. Well, fresh pork is certainly an improvement over bacon, but I feel like I have noticed a slight difference. I do better when it's all beef, all tallow, all the time. But, you know, I mean, you can feel 100%. Sometimes you can feel, all right, I'm not envisioned. Sometimes you can feel, 85%, and that's okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
But now, this coming week, I'm trying to push back up towards 100.
I get
Um,
it.
yeah.
But the
And
cheese
so,
thing.
and Plum asked if lard also causes problems. Yeah. So, I was actually going to try ordering some pastured lard from pastured pigs and see how that goes. Because I think,
Ooh.
it's also what the animals are eating. And, cows are a little bit better at transforming, poor material into better quality fat. But the non-ruminant animals are not. So pigs raised eating corn are going to have more inflammatory fat than a pastured pig eating whatever a pig's natural diet is. So, so that's why I think it does make a difference. So the quality of what you're eating does actually make a difference.
N equals one.
Hmm. Yeah.
You got to experiment on yourself. You got to see what works for
Yeah.
you and what doesn't.
Yeah. So Studsy Nubian says I don't buy pork chops anymore. Yeah. Um, I don't know. Sometimes they are dry. But there you go. Let's see. And Studsy Nubian says I barely eat bacon now.
You know what? If I go to
Mhm.
Hawaii, I will eat the whole hog when I go to Hawaii because
How
I'm
often? How many times
imagining
have you
they'll
been to
know how to
Hawaii?
do it. Zero.
Oh, you're talking about preparation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
That's where I'm going to eat the
sure.
pork chops and the the pig knuckles and all that.
I'm gonna eat all of it.
I'm going to eat
All
all
of
that,
it. Yeah, yeah,
right? And they roast it over the pit.
yeah. So we've talked a lot about a lot of different processing, and some of it is okay for some of us, some of it is not so great for us. But so now let's get into the less desirable processing.
What's that?
Is well, the processed foods that we're talking about. So,
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
I'm back. Yep.
So, actually, Deborah was showing me a presentation that she had created, a 60 slide presentation about her journey from paleo to
Sad.
carnivore,
From
and
sad to carnivore.
sad to carnivore, and it was truly impressive all that she learned along the way. But there was a really interesting slide showing some of the keto products out there that people get confused about. Now, protein shakes is another area that there's a lot, there's some controversy over. So some of the sports people will certainly have an opinion on this. But what's our opinion as non-athletes, but people who might use protein shakes?
Um, I recall when I was at the height of being in the gym and and lifting heavy and all of that kind of thing, that I was a proponent of the protein shake. I would add my blueberries and my spinach to my protein shake. It was spiking my insulin. Okay, there's no way around it. Now, I know that there are one of my favorite, Ben Bickman, my favorite guy right now. He has a protein shake. I'm not trying it, Ben Bickman. Sorry. I don't believe in protein shakes. I think that I don't know that people weigh their options in terms of the protein shake or nothing. Quite frankly, I'd rather have nothing, eat one meal a day, that be a mistake, and that's it. I don't think protein shakes are necessary. If you want to have a protein shake, though, who am I?
Yeah.
I don't have to live with the consequences of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my general feeling is like human beings don't do better at creating food than Mother Nature. So a protein shake is, it's less. It's the more you move away from like the original animal, the less good the item is going to be. And if it's like an occasional thing, then, maybe not a big deal. But when, you start relying on it, or that's, it's one of your 3 meals for the day, always, or people start doing like slim fast diets, or, where they have keto slim fast.
And an app.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so upset.
Yeah.
I was so upset by that. Please, I beg you.
Yeah. Oh wait, I want to go back to this. So Evelyn says I have familial hypercholesterolemia. There you go. And that means some mutation somewhere that interferes with the processing of cholesterol. That would explain the really high numbers. But I talked to somebody today, and he was telling me that he kind of got into eating this way because his father had high cholesterol, and they had him on a statin, and his numbers got down to, his LDL got down to 27, and that's like shocking, right? And it was so damaging to his brain. It caused irreparable damage. But it was kind of like stunning to me to think, oh my God, like a medication killed him.
Can I recommend a movie? Can I recommend something? Yeah. So you can actually go and learn more about statins from a movie called Statin Nation, and it's free to watch right now. Statin Nation, there's part 1 and there's part 2, and it will tell you all about the pharmaceutical industry and statins. You will be shocked. If you're on statins right now, I urge you to go and do some research or look more into it. Please.
Okay. So it's free to watch now? Why?
Because the world changed. So last time I checked,
Wait, is it on Netflix or where?
I think you just go to the website, Statin Nation, www.statinnation. I think that's what the URL is. I'm not quite sure.
That's good to know, because I actually don't think I ever saw
Part 1, part 2.
Okay. All right, good to know. Arian just put his tallow or suet in the freezer to get cold because he wants it solid. Yeah.
Arian got some suet. It's not just for birds anymore.
Actually, when I was making the thumbnail today, I looked up suet, and all that kept coming up were pictures of birds eating. And I was like, what? What?
Cardinals and blue jays. Yeah. It's for humans too.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So the shakes and eating some of that kind of food is, that's another level of processing that's maybe not a great idea. And, the other problem with the keto foods is this whole net carbs thing. Did you ever do net carbs, or did you always do full carbs?
I did do the net carbs thing until I learned that it doesn't matter. A carb is a carb is a carb.
Yeah. It just means eating more carbs.
It just gave
So,
me an excuse to
yeah.
indulge in something that had less net carb. Like, it was ridiculous. It was just
Yeah.
a made up thing.
Yeah. Well, before there were a lot of different products, it just allowed you to eat more carbs, which was, maybe okay. But then they started adding like tons of fiber to products. So the net carb would be like 1, but if you look at the total thing, it's like 50 grams. But
Yeah.
they've added like 20 or 30 grams of fiber, which added, stomach indigestion on top of all the other problems. And it's like, oh,
And I
yeah,
remember 20 grams of carbs a day was my goal. It's the way that you think backwards, upside down. Like, you totally have to flip the way that you think. 20 grams of carbs a day is not your goal.
yeah,
You want to be as low on that scale, as far below 20 grams of carbs a day as you can. It's not the goal to be 20 grams a day. But
yeah.
I was like, oh, this fits into my 20 grams. Oh, well, but that might take me to 21. It's ridiculous.
Well, there was a longish period where I was essentially carnivore except for wine and chocolate.
I get it.
So, it was a delightful experiment, but not overall did not lead to optimal health. But I stayed around 20 grams of carbs because you can get, let's see, 2 glasses of wine and like a half a bar of really dark chocolate.
Hey, you know, that'll do ya. There was a
So yeah.
time where I would finish work on a Friday. I would
Hmm.
go to the market. I would get 4 square inch chocolates. So they
Hmm.
had different types of these square inch chocolates for every Friday. I was like, today's Friday. It just got that happy feel. Today's Friday. I
Yeah.
get those 4 squares of chocolate. And then forgot about it. And I'd say it was like a month, like 4 Fridays went by, and then a Friday rolled around, and I was like, I haven't had like, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That could happen to you too, where you just
Yeah.
forget about it.
Yeah. So I'm working with a group and trying to get them. I'm doing like a little group challenge with a group of like 10 friends, and I'm trying to get them to go all of the way. And there's like a lot of pushback in the first couple of days, like, well, this and that. Why can't I have this and why can't I have that? But it's so interesting that pushback just disappears. As strongly as we feel like we have these cravings, as they pass, completely forget about them.
You forget about them.
Yeah. Like, I never would have thought that could happen, but it does.
It does.
So,
And I
yeah.
think that so I guess we could talk about for a second about using these keto foods, these processed foods, as a tool.
Hmm.
Now, Ada, you and I, we smoked. You were a
Oh,
smoker
you
and I was
smoke
a smoker.
cigarettes?
I did smoke cigarettes.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that
Wow.
crazy?
Yeah.
Who were these people?
Yeah.
So I used to smoke cigarettes, and I quit
What
smoking
brand?
Benson and Hedges and then DeMaurier.
I don't know the second one, but I know Benson and Hedges.
I think DeMaurier is Canadian.
Oh.
So I had quit smoking twice in my life. The second time I did it. But I used a quit smoking aid. I used Nicorette gum.
Hmm.
I chewed the Nicorette gum for 3 months. I didn't start chewing the Nicorette gum thinking, well, this replaces my cigarettes and for the rest of my life I'm going to chew Nicorette gum. It was a tool for me to stop smoking. And then eventually I had less and less Nicorette gum until it was gone. And that's how, if you're coming from a SAD diet, you might want to use these keto products. Knowing that you're not going to buy hordes of these keto food products and that you're going to continue eating them and that you feel good and you think this is a good thing, but knowing that this is a tool that's going to take you from sad all the way to a whole food diet, right? So maybe
So,
you might want to look at it that way.
so you and I have different definition of tool. So when I started using the cigarette, the nicotine patch, I was like, oh, this is great. So, and I was like, let me look and see if there's anything, health-wise that's wrong with nicotine. Like, if the problem with cigarettes is like inhaling burning material, maybe nicotine is just fine.
But the cigarette was the vessel for the drugs. The cigarette
Right,
was the
but the
vessel for the
problem was
drugs.
but the problem was the vessel, not the actual drug. Well, this is what I was trying to say. So then I was like, the idea was like, maybe I could just stay on the patch for good. But
Now
these
here's the
good
thing.
things never last.
I purposely did not use the patch. I had to have the oral, like it had to be an action that I took, just like smoking a cigarette. It had to be that I had to go and get the gum and actually put it in my mouth and had that oral thing happening. So I purposefully didn't go on the patch because of that.
I've tried a lot of different methods, and the last thing I did was to start vaping. And I, at that point, really wanted to get off cigarettes. So I just went all in and said, okay. No, I quit that 2 years ago. But I vaped for like 3 or 4 years, I think. And,
wow.
And so, yeah. And so, but when I went all in and said, I'm just not going to do cigarettes anymore, it was kind of like, I just decided, this is just going to be my new vehicle for getting the nicotine, and I'm going to like it. And then after I did it for a while, it was like, oh yeah, this is great. And I would smell cigarettes and be like, oh, God, that stinks. I don't want to be part of that. But,
But you're still getting your hit.
At the time, yeah. But then I realized, who cares? I didn't really care about the vehicle. What I cared about was the drug. And once I got the drug, it was okay. So, I vaped. And then eventually, my lungs still, just can't handle anything I'm inhaling. So I finally did have to, I like the last episode I had going to the urgent care, they were like, yeah, you got asthma. And I was like, no. And they're like, yeah, that's why you can't breathe. And I was like, oh.
You mean I gotta stop vaping?
Yeah, so when I walked out of the urgent care, like, at that point, I knew I would never smoke or use nicotine again. I mean, it was just like, in my head, I was thinking, you and me, we had a good run, it's good times, but it's just over. Like,
I had a similar talk.
Yeah.
I mean, fat's still in my life, but the whole nicotine and the vehicle thing but for me, it was a whole oral fixation. It was a whole dragon and the smoke going into my lungs and all of that. I don't even know if I think it was the nicotine that kept me going back to the vehicle. But nonetheless, that's how I quit smoking.
See, if you had gotten into the vape world, you would have seen, like, there's all kinds of mods and different stuff that people do. People can get so into it. And one of my friends, like, he still vapes, and I don't even think he has nicotine. He just, like, it's just the whole equipment, all of the stuff. Like, people can go at it, and really the experience of it fills that, that need that you're talking about.
Yeah. Thank goodness that wasn't a part of my having to quit that too.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, the gum was a tool. I could see that maybe people might use vaping as a tool, but ultimately, you don't want to vape anymore. Apart from you, A-Day. I mean, I guess you had other plans, but generally speaking, if we want to quit the cigarette, we want to quit the processed foods, maybe this could be a vehicle. I don't suggest it, however. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm saying if you're having trouble, you might maybe, so hard for me to say that. So hard for me to say it's okay to eat processed foods, but it's not. It's not okay, but maybe you could use it as a tool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So for me as a person, like, I don't do well with these, crutches. They become a vice in their own right. So
I get it.
Right. So some people, some people seem to be able to do just a little bit of artificial sweetener in their coffee in the morning. It's that one cup of coffee and that's it. Me, I'm like, oh, a little is good, a lot is great.
Better, yep.
Yeah. And next thing I know, I'm having a ton of it. So I think, everybody has their mileage varies, but it just doesn't work for me.
I agree. Like if I liked it, even like if I like to have a drop of stevia, let's say in my coffee every morning, and I could handle that one drop and that's it, well, I don't think it's doing much to my body. I might want to check my glucose levels, but I don't imagine that it's doing a lot to my body. But that's not me.
Yeah.
Thy name is sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can see by our talk tonight that we are not anti-processing. It is part of, food life on this planet. There is some processing that goes on, and there's a range of processing. And sometimes some of the more extreme processing that you might see in a keto box there is a way to use it, in your journey. Maybe
in your journey. I'm hoping is that those people who are using it are just using it as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can maybe move away from that and start making it yourself. Mm-hmm. And then move away from that and not do it at all.
Yep.
I know with me, I didn't do the processed food thing, but I did do the little recipes thing, right? And I used to do, I told you about this, my avocado, cinnamon, or Ceyon or Keyon, Ceyon, and avocado mousse. And I put them in the freezer, and it was like ice cream. Ooh, I love those. But then I didn't want to make them anymore. I was like, wow. It wasn't like the effort to make them wasn't worth eating them, and I had a reaction to that cinnamon stuff. Yeah. That cinnamon did not agree with me.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's where you get your recipe book, I guess. But then eventually, hopefully, you don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You can just eat meat.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So what do you think, guys? Those of you in the chat, do you think have we hit all of the important points on processed foods?
How are people feeling?
Yeah. I definitely was disappointed when I discovered that it wasn't possible to have like a keto-friendly Bisquick. And and it
is that like a pancake? That's a pancake.
Yeah.
Bisquick. Okay.
It's a pre-mixed powder that you then add egg and milk to make pancakes or biscuits or whatever. Yeah. So.
I just want to add once again, and I know that this is my mantra, but I really want people to think about who wants them to buy that processed food.
Yeah.
And all the money that went into them being manipulated into buying that processed food. Or just the mere thought, just you thinking that you need this processed food in order to be ketogenic. Mm-hmm. I want people to think about who says who wants me to eat this.
It's interesting because paleo, I like the whole idea initially with paleo is that you eat only what would have been available to Paleolithic man. That was, the wording, and that was, behind the language.
Didn't make any sense to me. It did not make sense.
Well, I don't know. It made sense to me, but there's no way to make money on that because all of the things that were available were, things that you hunted. There's no milk. There's no cheese.
Well, I guess the definition of an anthropologist's definition of Paleolithic man, but not according to the diet itself. The diet itself allowed you to make paleo bars, paleo anything, and sell it. because if I could put nuts in it, cranberries in it, that's paleo, and I can sell it with my little caveman on it. So, but in an anthropological definition, maybe not so much.
Well, back in the 90s, I read that book by Lorraine Cordain.
Yeah.
Who was like the first guy to kind of start talking about paleo. So it was basically a low carb diet, but he also made it low fat because at the time that was what was super popular. And he couldn't come out and say it's got to be a high fat diet. So, when people are like, it's got to be low fat and low everything and low carb,
that's not good.
It's like there's no food left.
There's nothing.
So it wasn't great, but in the paleo world, that's what they kind of talked about, like things that were available during the Paleolithic era, which was before agriculture. So
for me,
but then paleo started to say, well, so everything that was from the Paleolithic era and sweet potatoes. So not all tubers, but only sweet potatoes are okay. And so they're one by one, like, there were these exceptions made for things. And then it was like dairy, but how do you get dairy from a wild animal? I mean, I assume that it can happen occasionally, but
do you think they were milking woolly mammoths? Was that happening?
I think you might occasionally get a pregnant female and knock them over, and you would certainly take the opportunity. Maybe I could see an instance where it might happen, but it's probably not, the norm.
I'm not thinking that happened. I'm not thinking so.
I mean, I think that we have seen some highly motivated addicts. You watch the TV show Cops. You have seen highly motivated people do some crazy stuff. So I would not think that there wasn't somebody who was like, "Hey, look at this."
I think maybe,
but that may not have been the goal. That was not the objective.
I just thought, you wouldn't. I don't think there would have been that response for woolly mammoth milk. I think that if it tasted like a sundae, maybe. But I can't imagine that Paleolithic man was like, I got to have me some of that woolly mammoth milk, and I'm going to do anything to get it. Yeah.
I think they probably did that over honey. I would think that there was definitely somebody who was like, I'm going to be foolhardy and I'm going to get this.
Do you remember that movie Quest for Fire?
Was Daryl Hannah in it?
No, that was Clan of the Cave Bear.
Oh,
Quest for Fire.
I think I didn't see it, but I remember wanting to.
I'm not that old.
No, but I remember. I was in high school, I think.
Ray Don Chong was in that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a fantasy thing.
Yeah. Now, Esther says there are so many YouTube channels where people do dirty or lazy keto, and they have lost tons of weight and have been cured of health issues. One lady lost 200 pounds. Now, I feel like I see a lot of those Instagram channels that show before and after pictures of people. And I feel like those are the places where I see people who did dirty and lazy keto and lost 200 pounds and all of these things happen. But then I learned that a lot of those channels, especially when I saw myself turn up on one of these channels without giving permission, my before and after.
Wow, Amy.
That they no. I mean that this is how those channels work. They just take before and after pictures and ascribe a diet to them. Whatever the theme is of the channel. Yeah. So I feel like I do see those stories, but they're not. I don't know. In my opinion, a lot of them are not accurate or true, and. I don't know. So some people, I think, can do well with dirty, lazy keto, but I feel like that is not the norm. I don't see that regularly. And I feel like people have to be a little bit more restrictive with the carbs at a certain point, especially the heavier you get.
Is dirty and lazy synonymous? Because according to the definition, I was and am lazy keto. But I don't necessarily like the label. I don't know why lazy, because lazy has a negative connotation to it. And it sounds like you're not putting the effort in. When in natural fact, I think it was a positive thing because I wasn't counting macros. I was just checking my GKI, my glucose ketone index, to see where I was, but I still today don't count macros. I don't weigh, I don't measure. That's lazy. I think that's actually freeing rather than, I think it should be called free keto.
Well, I think everyone's definition of dirty and lazy varies. So I don't know. So I don't know what it is necessarily, and yeah, yeah. And so Evelyn says the Maasai drink milk and blood, and they eat lamb and goat. So one of the things I thought was actually really interesting about Amber O'Hearn, and she's one of the people who's done carnivore for years. If you're not familiar with her, I encourage you to Google her and check her out. She is so smart, and
she's very smart.
ton of research on this kind of stuff, and she's written some articles, and she's really interesting. But she talks about how probably our first major crisis as a species was the demise of the big mastodons and those really big animals that we used to hunt, because those were full of fat. And so it was, when for whatever reason they went extinct, whether we hunted them to extinction, which is entirely possible. There are lots of species on this planet that over the last several thousand years we have hunted to extinction.
I'm skeptical.
Well, no, the Chumash Indian on the coast of California, that was, one of the, when I was at UCLA getting my PhD, that was, a lot of people did research on that tribe, but the Ulukin fish, they hunted them to extinction. So, and this is before modern time. So if you got it good, it tastes good, and it does good for your body, we're going to eat it till it's gone. So, so there's the idea that, for whatever reason, whether it was climate change or whatever, the major fauna that we used to hunt went extinct or were gone. And so that was a major crisis for us. And through that, we had to find another ruminant that could produce as much fat. And so, the idea is that we began to domesticate the cattle at that point. And that's kind of where our sort of modern day cow came from. So, so the Maasai, once you have been able to domesticate a cow, then you can collect milk, and you can do things like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, that maybe how they came to doing that.
And the Maasai are very tall, Deborah, too. I am skeptical. Yeah. I don't know. I'm skeptical that we hunted these animals to extinction. Maybe it's possible, but kind of in the same way that a human would do anything for honey, I feel like we would have tried to find a way to conserve the meat source, because I think we would see that if we lose this source of food, and we'd see that they multiply, we see that they procreate, we see, I don't know. I'm skeptical, but I'm not going to do research. I'm not going to do my PhD on it, AJ. It's not going to happen.
But
I'm skeptical.
Yeah,
but that's my job.
Good questions. And, I think that we often think of, humans in past eras as not as smart as us, but in fact, they're every bit as smart, different experiences, but every bit as smart. And I think, this is part of human nature, or all nature really, is to get more than you expend. You want to conserve your energy and get more. So we're always looking for ways to, I don't
know. I think we would have been, doing some calculations of some sort. I do. And you follow the herd. You follow the herd.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It could have been the catastrophic event that, people talk about with the dinosaurs. Could have been that too. massive climate change. I was just reading about how the Sahara Desert, would go through these periods of being grasslands and then back to desert and grasslands and back to desert. And some portion of it, the last, period of it may have been, pushed forward by grazing cattle, but I don't know. It was like, that's interesting. I had no idea that it was anything other than a desert. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we have covered all of the topics from all over the world and all time. So how interesting. Yeah. Yeah. But
you couldn't have done it without an anthropologist.
Yeah. I know, right? But I think the moral of the story is that the less processing, the better. And, but that doesn't mean that no processing is ideal. But you definitely want to, rely more on the live foods that we know came from, from the animals that walk the earth or fly in the sky or swim in the sea or the rivers.
But don't waddle though, because you don't want to eat any penguins.
I didn't say no ducks.
Penguins, though, you don't want to eat those.
I don't.
Or pelicans.
Penguins already have such a hard life.
Or pelicans, don't eat those.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you all being here. I ask you once again to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click the little bell so that you get notification every time I publish a new video. And we have had a good time. And next week, we are having a really exciting guest on Tuesday. She has a son with type 1 diabetes and has had him off of insulin for the last 3 or 4 months on a carnivore diet alone. So I think that's really interesting. I can't wait to hear more about it. And I know you're going to really love it too. So I encourage you, be here on Tuesday.
Back on Tuesday. Come back on Tuesday.
Yeah. And Esther, I love that. Since you found Black Carnivore, you know how much you feel so much better, and you eat a whole foods meat-based diet.
Yes. And you know what? Also, come on by Pandemic Carnivore on Instagram. I've got some stuff on there too. Come on by.
Yeah, we're a whole network. Go through and look at look at my posts, see who I tag. That kind of shows you who some of the active people are in Black Carnivore. But tag me too when you post stuff on Instagram. I'm always looking to expand, my my circle and make sure that I'm showing all of the people who are doing such great things. And I love to repost people's before and after pictures who have done so well on
amazing results.
Yeah, so please just post your before and after pictures, tag me, and I will repost them. All right, guys, so I will see you on Tuesday. All right, good night. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
All right.